Well, Jamie Richards is the man in charge of a huge arsenal of horses at Te Aka. Jamie, good morning to you. Happy New Year. How is Probabile?
Good morning, Mick. Yeah, Probabile's in good order. Really pleased with her. She's nice light campaign there in the spring, 3 starts, home, month in the paddock. And yeah, she's coming out well. She trialled well, had an exhibition gallop, and hopefully this is going to be a nice place to kick her off with a good confidence building win.
Jamie, we're showing that trial now. She was very good stomping home down the outside. Is it tricky with a horse like her because you can't really turn up to the races and have a nice quiet pipe opener, can you?
Yeah, she's probably go through a little flat spot somewhere in the race like she does, so don't be too concerned if you do that. But I think late in the race, hopefully she should have this field at her mercy.
You've had this race in mind for a long time. This is the race that Scott Bass won on the way to beating Embellish in the Karaka Classic Mile 2 years ago. Is she forward enough that the $1.15 Jamie Punters can just run through their multis with confidence she'll do the job, or do you have any concerns over her fitness?
No, pretty happy with her, Mick. She's a good filly, and she's ready to go. I don't want to leave her half a run short. There's no point taking her all the way to Alpine to be vulnerable in a soft field. So look, she's pretty well ready, and yeah, we've studied the form and sort of worked out a bit of a program there where Scott Bass went through, and I think this is a nice lead-in for her.
In 3 weeks' time, you have a race worth 40 times as much as today's race. She's going to carry 54.5. Will Opie Bosson be able to get down to that weight to ride her, Jamie?
Well, that's sort of his target day each and every year for the last 3 years. He's managed to get down and win the Karaka Million 2-year-old for us, and we're hoping that this year he can get down and win the Karaka 3-year-old Classic for us. So, you know, he's very good on the big days. I don't think there'll be any concerns.
Okay, mate, what's the plan after the Karaka Classic Mile? I presume you want to head back to Australia for a race like the Surround Stakes, because an Australian Group 1 win would be beautiful for Cambridge Stud, her owners.
Absolutely, and yeah, where we go in Australia is yet to be confirmed, whether it's Melbourne for a race like the Australian Guineas or against the boys, or whether we go back to Sydney and stick to the girls. Just sort of make a bit of a plan once we get through Ellerslie in 3 weeks' time. But every time we've gone to Sydney, we've run into wet tracks, and she's not as effective on it, and we are certainly mindful of that.
Mate, you have a smaller team in today than usual for a Saturday. Of course, so many of them raced over the carnivals or over the latest week. Weaponry in the 5th on the card at Awapuni looks like a horse in form, slightly niggly barrier draw. What do you make of his chances?
Yeah, he's going well. He looks great. He's got a lot of condition on, eating well, and very good in the skin. So he's up in grade and up in trip, but we think he can handle it. He's a stakes winner from last year, and I thought he was really good at Tauranga, where he looked like he was in a spot of bother, but dug deep and got the win. So the barrier, we'll just leave that up to Opie. We won't organise him too much. I think we've probably got to go forward a little bit and put him in the race like we have been.
Mate, the win we're seeing is 1,400 metres, up to 1,600 today. By declaration of war, one would suggest the 1,600's even better.
Yeah, it should be no problem. Won the Southern Guineas last year over a mile. We've sort of just been keeping him sharp enough because he has been pulling a little bit in his races when he's been a bit fresh. But now that he's getting deeper into his campaign, he's racing well, and yeah, the mile should be no problem for him.
I thought on Boxing Day we saw an excellent return from Avantage. She was run over late by Pretty to See in the Hallmark Stud Newmarket, Jamie, but really good run considering you told me there was more in the tank. How has she come through this, and where do things stand in the prep for the Telegraph?
Yeah, she's in good form. Really happy with the run. She had to go to the 1 at 5.5 kilos, and that's probably the difference. First up, off a break, and she's a good doing there. She's built like a colt, so she will improve. She did a bit of 3/4 this morning and looked good. She's going to have an exhibition gallop at Matamata on Tuesday, just to keep her ticking over, and that should have her spot on for for the 18th there in the Telegraph, where we think she'll be a nice chance. And most of the horses are going to have to go up a couple of kilos at weight for age, whereas she's probably going to come back 1.5 kilos.
Okay, tomorrow week, Jamie, we head to Ellerslie for what's been a traditional 2-year-old lead up to the Karaka Million for your guys. How many are you taking there? And we see Cool as a Beal as third favourite for the Karaka Million. Is he at this stage your top chance?
Yes, he is. He's a nice colt, got a lot of time for him. He won well at Boganui, he was stiff at Pukekohe. He had 10 days in the paddock, a couple of weeks in the paddock, and he worked nicely on the course proper here at Mitamata last Saturday. Goes into the race in good order. I think he's one to watch for the future for sure. We'll also have Bordeaux Le Rouge in there, and that'll be our 2 at this stage.
Okay, so your point, what's the situation there?
Your Point's just feeling his shins a little bit. And I've had a good chat to Chris Rutten this morning. The horse is going to spell. If the race had been like last year, where we only needed one win, say 6,000 to get into the race, he could well have got there. But because he needs to run again, I just think it's going to be too hard on the horse. We like him, and we need to do the right thing by him and just give him a bit of time. Okay,
so Jamie, just to get this official, this horse won't be in the Karaka Million, so he's $10 in the market. Punters can take him out of their factoring?
Yes, they can. Just look after him, give him a little bit of time, and he'll be seen later in the season.
Mate, it looks a harder Karaka Million to win. I'm sure they're never easy to win. You've won the last 3 on end. It looks a stronger Karaka Million this year. There seems to be a lot of very forward 2-year-olds, and what we saw over the carnival at Ellerslie, Play That Song was good, Not an Option was good, Taroni was good. Is this going to be the hardest Karaka Million to win of the last 4?
Yeah, it's never easy to win that race, but as you say, there looks to be more form this year, particularly from horses that have been bought through the sales series. Past couple of seasons, there's always been good form, but some of those horses might have been retained by breeders or have not gone through a sale, so were ineligible to run in the race. But yeah, I thought Nigel Tiley's filly was great the other day. Not an Option's going well, as you say. The Lindsay's filly was good on Boxing Day, but I really like this horse, Call as a Beal, and it'll be interesting to see how he fronts up next Sunday.
Mate, where's the Queen of the Turf? Where is Melody Bell? And when do we see her next?
She's had a couple of bits of 3/4 this week. She's sort of first couple of easy work, bits of work back. Looks great, very pleased with her. The plan at this stage is to give her an exhibition gallop on Karaka Million night, and then she'll trial at Tiaraha on the 4th, and then all going well, she'll go straight to Melbourne and run in the Futurity before the All-Star Mile.
Okay, what about the Shark? I know the Shark is nominated for the All-Star Mile. You've told me that's less likely as we watch him here taking along Ligue Assure, which now becomes a hell of a form line. Are you still thinking more Sydney where he can get his toe into the ground?
That's certainly been the plan that we've discussed with the owners. Had a good sit down with Dave and put all the options on the table, and as you say, we certainly feel that he's a better horse with a bit of easing in the ground, and Caulfield would worry us a fraction. So he's good. He worked yesterday. Opie came in and galloped him, so he felt great. He trials at Matamata on the 14th. He'll have an exhibition gallop, and then he'll run first up at Tarafa in the weight for age, and then more than likely go straight to Sydney for 3 races, which will culminate in the Queen Elizabeth at the Championships at Ramwick.
Mate, the last week's been super. Tapo was fantastic the other day. Pre-defer, of course, winning the Rich Hill. Did you know you're 10 clear on the Premiership? It's a nice way to start 2020.
I hadn't actually been keeping a track of that, Michael, but yeah, no, it's been going well. We've got a great team of horses and staff, and all important ingredients for a big stable. So plenty of nice horses around us, which is a big help.
Mate, if you win the Premiership, will you give yourself a day off, like not go to bed at 7:30 for one night and actually have a couple of wines and stay up and enjoy yourself, Jamie?
Yeah, we will in the winter. In the winter, we can take the foot off the pedal a little bit, but at this very busy time of the year, it's all hands on deck, and we, take great pride in the way that the horses are going.
Mate, you should take great pride in the fact your strike rate is just over 5. Jamie, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it. We appreciated it last year. We're appreciating it in 2020, and good to see the glamour girl back today.